This is Solve It for Kids.
Hello, my amazing and curious friends. My name is Jennifer, the Dean of all things STEM and STEAM, and this is Solve It for Kids, the podcast that gives kids and families a peek inside the real world of scientists, engineers, and experts as they solve problems in their jobs using creativity, cooperation, and critical thinking. And now please welcome to the show my podcast partner, Galactic Space Geek, Jeff Ganya.
Hello, Jennifer, and hello, listeners. I love episodes when we have a guest that's going to talk about something we talk about a lot, but just a little bit differently.
Right, she's introducing a new term that people may not know.
That's right.
So, what problem are we solving today?
What skills do space entrepreneurs need?
How can you be a space entrepreneur? Ooh, this is going to be really interesting, I think. Who is our guest today, Jeff?
Our guest today is Vered Cohen-Barzilay, and the reason she's perfect for today is she is the CEO of Out of the Box Space Innovation.
Welcome to the show, Vered.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very delighted to be here with you today.
We are thrilled to have you. You've done such amazing things with space and entrepreneurship for kids. We can't wait to get into all of that. But what I want to know is, did you always love space as a kid?
Well, the answer is yes. I always loved space.
Awesome.
But not always. I thought that it would be my professional. And in fact, only when I turned 40, I thought, well, maybe this is the time to make my dream come true and to rebond with what I wanted to do as a child.
Oh,
I love
awesome.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
So before you made that switch, what were you doing?
I was a journalist, and I thought that I will be able to, to fix the world with reporting, about evils, human rights violation.
Yeah.
I was a police reporter, and I was a law reporter.
Oh, wow.
And then I went to work in an NGO. I was a human rights defender, and then I was a women rights defender. And at some point, I neglected everything, and I thought that this maybe it's time for me to do what I really wanted, but never dared to do. It was a long process to understand that.
So what do you love about space?
Well, I have to say that I'm that big of a geek that I love everything.
Well, you've come to the right place. We're the same
You're an
thing.
excellent
and also,
company.
I love space fashion. I love space art. I love space, yes, I love the unique, STEAM connection. And I love, of course, space entrepreneurship. And I love space business and, everything about space. And I read everything. I wake up in the morning and I have, all kind of social media groups that keep updating. So I'm reading everything possible. And it's safe to say that it's very difficult to find me not knowing about something new in space.
I like it. Okay, so that's you right now. Let's jump back real quick. You said you made this shift at 40 into space, which is what you loved. When you first made that shift, did you shift into space journalism, or how did you make that change?
No, I just dived into space. I think that as a child, and especially a child in Israel, space wasn't really open to girls.
Yes, I think that happens to a lot of women, and just the avenues that have been open to us in the last, 20 years or so are just amazing. But now I want to talk about space entrepreneurship. First of all, could you define entrepreneurship? Because that's a big word. And I have to admit, I had to go back and look it up and be like, exactly what is that?
Well, I have to say that I read a lot of definitions to entrepreneurship, and I think that those are like more academic definitions trying to put out of the box people in the box, which is a little bit difficult because I don't think that there is just one definition to what's, entrepreneurs. But basically, entrepreneurs see a problem and they offer an innovative, creative solution to the problem. So this is what we do. And this is what I've done all my life. I was always an entrepreneur. Even when I was a child, I looked at a problem and I offered some solutions. And it could have been like in small stuff or large stuff, but basically it's all the same. Space entrepreneurship is even more cool, I think, because it's not that you're just finding solution to, problems in your community. You're finding solution to, what human needs. And it's not just on Earth, but it's also beyond.
I love that. Yes.
Totally. And how you just ended that answer of it's not just solving a problem here, but you're solving a problem for out in space. One of the things that I think is really neat about space entrepreneurship, different from other versions, is solutions that we are finding for a problem that's on the ISS, or a problem with how rockets are launching, or how to get humans back to the moon to be able to stay there. We already understand that all of those technologies will play into pushing out further, going to Mars, having rockets that can take humans farther.
Yeah, I think that entrepreneurs really like, difficult problems. And space is a very difficult place that offers a lot of difficulties to overcome. So it's like the big challenge that we all want to address.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Absolutely.
I agree. With the big challenge, have you, in your experience with what you've been doing, have you noticed that even younger folks, even kids that get interested in what you do and that you talk to, are they scared of the challenges being so big, or do they get excited that the challenges are big so they dive right in to work on them?
So most of the kids that I met, maybe I'm just, lucky to meet very talented kids, but most of them are very happy to address that. What they find it difficult at the beginning is that to believe that they are able to invent things that are really necessary. So they don't think that it will be something very serious. But I believe differently. And this is why I'm teaching space entrepreneurship from a younger age, even though I do it also to students and grown-ups and more. But I think that our imagination, our creativity is at its best when we are younger. And this is why I find that the students teach me or helping me to maintain my creativity, because they are so creative. And I really, every time we are doing brainstorming, I really like to do it because it's just taking me to so many places. And what I've seen in our experience, for example, we have the Science Accelerator, which is a program that educates youth for space entrepreneurship. It exists for 7 years. And we already seen things that the young students, sometimes 8th grades, invented. And after a couple of, years, we've seen that, real startup doing the same things that the students.
Wow.
Yes. Wow. And I've seen that in couple of ideas. So it's not just one where, exceptional. No, it happened again and again and again. And I do feel that there is no limit. I mean, look at Elon Musk, for example. He's the wonderful example of how you can start from a very young age to be, successful entrepreneur, and of course, space entrepreneurs. There is no age for entrepreneurship.
I agree. And I think that when, talking about your company, Out of the Box Innovators, first of all, I love that name. But I think as kids, we are encouraged to think more out of the box. As you get to be an adult, right, we kind of feel like we have to stay sometimes within our own box.
Most of my life, I've been told that I have an out of the box thinking, but it wasn't really something. Okay, but it wasn't really something positive in school. In my age, it wasn't very positive. So it was, oh my God, can you stop being so out of the box? And then when I talked about my own business, I said, this is what I want to do. I want to, to put my out of the box and put it over there so everybody will see that out of the box is the good things. It's not, it's not a curse, it's a blessing.
Oh my gosh. I have been told that my whole life as well. So I love that you just put it right out there, right in front, right? This is what it is. So I'm curious, can you tell us a little bit about what you do with students to get them to learn how to be space entrepreneurs and all that kind of stuff?
So I have to say that I'm mentoring in many accelerators. So I have long years of experience in participating in mentoring in accelerators, space accelerator, technological accelerators,
Wow.
social accelerators, and everything. When I started the Science Accelerator, I wanted to bring the things that I've seen in grown-ups to kids to education, and I had to shift it. But it's basically the same thing. And the level that they reach is, more or less the same level that, grown-ups can reach there. We learn at first how to think, creatively, how to be creative, how to think out of the box. What is entrepreneurship? We learn about the conditions on space. We learn about the solar system, the condition on the moon and Mars. We learn about how to ask the questions, how to understand what is a question that we want to address, how to think about solution. Is our solution is the good solution, or are there any others? Are the solutions are basically are scientifically based? Are they even, manageable? Sometimes they have solutions that, they are too expensive. So they have to think about that.
I was going to ask about cost, because that's one thing that people don't always think about, right? Like cost.
We also teach them how to make the first steps in business. So they do some SWOT analysis. They teach in front of experts. They study with NASA experts, with NASA scientists and space tech, professionals and astronauts. And we take them very seriously. So we give them everything, and we divide the program to 2 phases. One is the incubator, which we teach them how to think about the idea, and then the accelerator, how to take it into, how to make a product out of it. And it takes 6 months, which is an entire school year. And after 6 months, there are, different persons. They already have, everything that they need to pitch in, we have a competition, at the final competition. And believe it or not, we have some students that never pitch. They pitch in English. So for some kids that are not an, English language, mother language, it's very difficult. And they have professionals standing in front of them, scoring them and asking 20 minutes questions, very difficult questions. And I'm always telling the judges, don't look at them as the young kids. They are not. They are and ask, the difficult questions, and they face it, because they are stars.
That's terrific. I love that you add the comments to the judges of, just remember, we don't want you treating them as kids and taking it easy on them, because the idea of teaching them about business and space entrepreneurship, what you're doing, it is a difficult world. But difficult doesn't mean that they can't do it. Right. And the only way for them to get the confidence that they can do it is to go through it with you. That is terrific.
That's awesome.
And also, we have a lesson about failing. So,
you have to have that.
Sense of being an entrepreneur is fail. And so we have a special lesson about that, and we write the CV of failures. So it's something that I wasn't invented it, but I caught it online, and I really like that.
Very good.
We are doing, a CV in which we are writing every failure that we remember that we have done in our life, and presenting it to ourselves and also to the class. Yeah, so
that'd be very long.
Yes, I'm doing it also. I'm like almost 50, so I have long years of, being or failing. But they're young, but still they are so afraid from failing. I failed in tests. I failed to satisfy my parents. And then we just, get it out and saying, this is, you have to understand that as an entrepreneur, you will have to understand how to fail and how to raise, back from
Right.
Yeah, that's very important. And, we talk about that a lot. And so I write books for kids. And so when I go and talk to schools, I like to talk about failure too, because I think these days kids are tested a lot. So they're worried about failing a test, but that's not what this is, right? This is learning from the failures. And especially as an engineer and as a scientist, you learn from things that don't work, right? Sometimes you learn more from things that don't work. So
you probably remember that NASA motto is failure is not an option.
Yes.
And this is what changed when the entrepreneurs invaded into NASA world, when Elon Musk, for example, said, we are learning from our failures. So the idea is that what Elon Musk did, he said, we understood that every time we fail, we learn more. So he instructed his team to fail, try, even though you are not, sure that what you will do will succeed or fail, try and we will learn from failing. So I think that if you ask me also, if I need to explain what is entrepreneurship is failing and learning from failures.
Exactly. Yes. And
very true.
That is, I think that is one of NASA's mottos, but correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, and Jeff would know this. Didn't that come from when they were trying to come back with Apollo 13, the failure is not an option. And the saying was, we have to get those astronauts back home. So it wasn't specifically about failing. It was about, we must return those astronauts safely, right?
Every time I've read about it, it's always come from there. And it has always been about using the word failure in that sentence is meant to focus on success, that there has to be a way to make it work, and we're going to find that way before it's too late. And that's something that Farid was just speaking about.
Yeah.
In terms of, I like the idea of the CV of failure because, looking at that list, especially for kids, every kid in the room, every kid that's part of the accelerator is going to have one. We all have those failures. Even Farid's got a list that she probably shows the students as well. And all of you are still going. We're all still pushing forward.
Right.
Any one thing that doesn't work isn't the end of the answer. So I want to go back just a little bit, Farid, if we can. While you're in one of these accelerators with students, teaching them about space entrepreneurship and getting them working, how do you teach students to be more creative and more out of the box?
So first of all, I have to say that the students face not only learning together about how to become entrepreneur, but how to become an international entrepreneur. So we have students coming from different countries. And the one thing that we teach them is how to get along together, how to work together when you have different time zones and you have different languages and different cultures and, how to cope with it. So one of the things that we put focus on is how to create friendships, among
I love that.
Students that are coming from different places. How do we make them being creative? First of all, we give them all kind of an assignments, creative assignments. It can be like, first or second assignments is create your video CV. So video bio, know how to present yourself, but try to be creative when you are doing it. Don't give us the boring, list of who you are, what your grades are. Just show us and think about how you are translating what you want to say into images. So let's say that I'm very good in checkmate. So I can show the checkmate. I can do something, very creative. So we encourage them with every test that they do to be more creative, to find the creative ways to do it. So this is one thing that we are doing. We also teach them to become an independent learners. And I think that once they understand how to do it, they learn in their own way, which give them more freedom to be flexible in what they learn.
Right.
Meaning, when you have the teacher just teaching you, she's teaching you from her point of view, and you have to say, okay, thank you, I'm going to do my test, But here they have the freedom to explain to themselves how to work with tools or how to do stuff. Sometimes when we want them to learn about, for example, new space age, I'm giving them an assignment to play a SpaceX simulator, which is something very neat. They have to try to log in with their ship to the ISS, which is very difficult.
That's
but they
not
don't know
easy.
At first.
That is not easy.
I don't know anyone who ever, done that. Not the grown-ups. They do after a while, but not us. But anyway, yes. And, it's also part of learning. I don't need to tell them, listen, I would like you to now, let's open the books and let's learn about the dragon ship.
Right.
They study about it in a very creative way, doing very creative stuff.
I like all those.
I do. I think that's awesome. So what I was wondering was, what would you say to any kid out there about it being interested in a space entrepreneur? Where would they start?
I think starting with reading about space entrepreneurs, the figures, the foundation, the father foundations of the space entrepreneurship. Unfortunately, it's only fathers and mothers, but we do have some, female figures, especially, in the last century that they can look at. But just learn about them. I'm just reading now the new biography of Elon Musk. So every time I'm learning about them, trying to understand, how they were as a child. One of the things that we do know that many entrepreneurs read a lot of books. So read a lot of books. It's very, very good to read. It's very good to be curious. So if you have something that you're curious about, or even develop your curiosity, and that's very good stuff. And don't stop at any phase. So don't only just read the books. Think about how can you do something. Try to invent stuff. When I was a kid, for example, I had a drawing full of electronic stuff. So every time I'm not sure if it's good for the mothers or the fathers just to say that I broke all kind of my electronic devices, because I was very curious to understand how they work and if I make them, if I can make them work better. So I think that's very good. Think about, don't just satisfy with understanding, the content that you are being given, but how it works and how you can change it. So try to change. If I want to give them some, advice, even to practice, not only entrepreneurship, but also creativity, is that every day when they walk to school, try different ways to walking in schools. To school. So try to, everything that you do, trying to find, alternatives, out of the box, creative stuff. And then at some point, yes, you can even, let's say that you walked in school and then you realize that, I don't know, something is interrupting you on the way. So you can find solution to it. The solution can be write a letter to the, municipality, or you can try, some app that you will code and that maybe will be some solution. So yes, this is the way to start.
That's fantastic. I love all those. Those are great suggestions, I think, for adults too, right? For all of us to kind of think outside the box and look at our solutions and challenges that we face every day.
Yes. So I have been asking about what you have been doing. I want to jump into the future just a little bit. Before we get done with you, I would love to know, where do you plan to move out of the box innovation, space innovation, science innovations, and your accelerators in the future? Do you see more students? Do you see expanding into even more space entrepreneurship with different industries?
So one of the things that you can tell, about entrepreneurs is that they never stop walking. They're always, looking at 10 steps forward. So I do have my 10-step forward plan already, even 20, I think. And what we are starting now, because we do have sometimes students that are 4 times, doing the science accelerator, coming back, even if they failed or succeed. But to give them something, better, something that will take them into the next level. So I thought about what will be the next level. And then I realized that I want to give them some academic knowledge and solutions. And now I'm in the process of opening local hubs in which the students, even at the age of, 16, 17, will be able to start gaining academic credits.
Wow.
And also not only just, again, learning old school way, working with electronics, working with 3D printers, and doing entrepreneurs and inventing stuff. So it will not be just, a learner, but also I'm a worker as well.
That's fantastic. Okay, so before we ask the challenge, I want you to tell everybody where they can find out more information about all of your amazing programs.
So they can find out on the website, which is outofthebox.edu, in just one word, .space.
Awesome. And
simple enough.
It is. And I've looked at the website. There's tons of great information there. Whether they take your programs or not, there's tons of great information about how to do this. Okay. So now we're at the part in our podcast episode where I like to ask our expert to give our listeners a challenge. What is your challenge, Vered?
So our challenge is really challenging. I really wanted that it will not be just a small challenge that you can, solve in a couple of I don't know, maybe an hour. I wanted it to be more of a process,
Okay.
and then outcome. And we do also have some prizes waiting for our young,
fantastic.
solvers. So they can find, we usually do in the Science Accelerator, really something very fun that we ask the students to think about some holiday that they like and how do they think it will be possible to celebrate it on the ISS. Thinking about the product they will bring, but as you know, shipping a product, it's a huge problem. We have to face so many challenges. So they will learn about how to be creative, how to think as entrepreneurs, and also a little bit about the challenges that are waiting for us in space. And it's really fun. And I have to say that every year we get so many creative, holidays and very diverse holidays. So it's amazing. And I'm, waiting in anticipation to see what your listeners will send us.
I think that's so cool. So
I like that.
And everybody that's listening, there will be a video on our website, solveforkids.com, and on our social media that kind of explains a lot of the different things that Vered is talking about with this challenge. But I love that. You come up with your own holiday for the International Space Station. And I imagine the astronauts would probably have fun, celebrating this if they were able to.
Yes. And also we have to think about the diversity that, ISS is really. And so they have, astronauts that they are Muslims, Jewish, Christians. So it's really nice to see all kind of solutions, all kind of holidays. And, maybe, I don't know. Usually, sometimes we are hosting Dr. Jeff Hoffman, which was a very legendary American astronaut. Mm-hmm. And we show him the solutions and he really enjoyed that. And we were thinking about, as an astronaut, is it possible or not possible to be down on the ISS? So, yeah.
Right.
Nice.
Right.
You're getting direct answers as to whether for somebody that's been, as to whether or not that's going to work. I really like that. And I think this opens up a huge box of creativity to jump out of the box, because holidays all around the world have so many different little traditions and foods and activities and things that people do in relation to those holidays, that there are a lot of different avenues that any student that participates in this challenge can go down.
Or you could do something cool like, take your dog to work day or something like that. I don't know how that would work, but I mean, that's out of the box in space, is it not? I love the creativity that you inspire and that you get kids to use for all of this. I think this is amazing. This has been a really terrific episode. Thank you so much for being on Solve for Kids, Vered.
Thank you, Vered.
Thank you.
Just like the intro, I knew it was going to be fantastic when we talked just a little bit differently about a topic we know a lot about. And a space innovation, thinking out of the box, science accelerators. So many of her terms are just bouncing around in my brain right now. I am thinking about kids and science fairs and all of the amazing ideas that they have, regardless of age, on how us grown-ups could do things better. And I can't wait for them to grow up to do it, but Vered's not waiting. This is what she does, and her challenge leads right into that for all of you. How would you create something to celebrate either your favorite holiday or a new holiday that you invent on the International Space Station with everyone that's up there? This one absolutely gets my neurons going, Jen. What about you?
Yeah, this is going to be so much fun. It's unique, right? Thinking about all of the different things that you could do up there, but in microgravity, right? So some of the normal things, like, do balloons float? Well, yes, but not always up, right? All of these different things. I think this would be a really, really cool challenge. I think this, we should call up some of our astronaut friends and see what they think about this. This would be fun for them to try.
Agreed.
I think, up there. So if any of our listeners have amazing ideas for how you would do this, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Tag us on our social media. We are at KidsSolve at Facebook, Instagram, and X. You can also find us on our website, solveitforkids.com, where we'll have a web page for every single episode, including this one, so you can learn more about out-of-the-box innovations. So be sure to check out Verid's website. And don't forget, on our website, we also have a list of books, because kids' books are great resources to learn more.
And they also lead you into exactly what Verid was talking about. Out-of-the-box thinking doesn't just have to be about space innovation or the science accelerator or even this challenge. Thinking out of the box in every area, whatever you're doing, is where innovation comes from and where improvements come from. We can't wait to hear about yours for this challenge. Until next time, you'll hear Jen and Jeff on Solve It for Kids!